From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Coming up on tonight's 530 News, we take you to the fire lines for a first-hand look of the damage done by the horse thief fire in Roundup. Plus, the latest tonight on the Amtrak derailment along the Montana High Line that left 3 dead, dozens injured, and many more displaced. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm Jeanelle Slade. We'll have those top Montana stories in just a moment, but first tonight. Investigators are now trying to figure out what caused a small plane to crash and burn just south of Billings last night. The crash killed 2 of the 3 people on board. Q2's Russ Riesinger reports.
The FAA and the NTSB expected to be here on the scene to begin investigating Sunday evening's plane crash that left 2 people dead just south of Billings.
The call came in around 7:30 Sunday evening that a plane had crashed and burned on private property just off Jellison Road, not far from the landfill.
I can tell you it's a single-engine small plane with 3 individuals on board. 2 are deceased and 1 is receiving medical attention.
Late this afternoon, Rob and Pam Stevens were identified as the 2 victims who perished in the crash. They were the owners of Mission Aviation, a flight instruction school on Laurel Road. Their son Riley remains hospitalized. The sheriff's office kept the scene secured until federal investigators could arrive.
Trying to preserve any marks that might, disappear with grass growing and stuff like that. I don't know that they have anything to do with the incident here, but just in an effort to try to assist.
Typically, a preliminary report is filed within days or weeks, but it can sometimes take years before a final report is released into the cause of a crash. In Yellowstone County, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News.
There is much more activity up here in Liberty County as the NTSB has begun their investigation of the Amtrak derailment, but there is still plenty of questions to be answered, including why the train derailed in the first place. This was the first full day of the NTSB investigation of the Amtrak derailment. Officials estimate the crash site is about 500 yards in total. They also have not ruled anything out as to what caused the crash. Officials said they plan on being at the site for about a week and should have a preliminary report available within the next 30 days. Officials said it is a possibility that passengers were ejected from the train, as it has happened in previous crashes, and that they will look into it as the locomotive did have a black box with a camera on it.
We have experts that are studying the camera footage frame by frame to make sure that we see exactly what the engineer saw or maybe didn't see. The locomotive recorder has given us the speeds of somewhere between 75 and 78 miles per hour. Our job is strictly to gather the facts and make the best possible assessment.
NTSB said they are working as quick and effective as possible, as there are trains delayed on both ends of the crash. The investigation is still active, and we will update you if we get more information. In Liberty County, Asher Lynd, MTN News.
On the wildfire front, the horse thief fire in Roundup, which burned 1 home and evacuated several more on Saturday, is now at 50% containment. Crews worked through the night to gain ground as this afternoon focused on securing the south flank and lines around structures. Now, right now, there are no evacuation orders in place, but residents are told to be on alert as conditions can change at any moment. Tonight, we spoke with one landowner who is trying his best to move forward after his land was burned by the flames.
I think the human instinct is that you get up in the morning and put one foot in front of the other and do the best you can. And it's all about not what one man or one woman can do, it's what a community can do together to help get through this.
The U.S. Forest Service continues to monitor what it's calling the Moose Fire, which is burning on Homestake Pass, just south of Interstate 90, east of Butte. The fire, which was reported Sunday afternoon, burnt up about 28 acres just east of the Homestake exit. Firefighters attacked the wildfire from the air using helicopters with water buckets and an airplane that dropped fire retardant around the blaze. The only major structure that was potentially threatened by this wildfire was the Homestake Ski Lodge.
It was really scary when it first came up, and it looked quite large and like it was spreading real fast, and was convinced that we were going to burn up.
The owners of the ski lodge said they were grateful for the quick response, and none of their structures were damaged in the wildfire. And the Forest Service is continuing to monitor the area for hot spots, which could flare up with these red flag warnings. Near Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Now turning to meteorologist Matthew Hidalgo, who's in for Ed tonight. And firefighters, really, their efforts are not in the clear. Crews have some high winds to deal with tonight.
Yes, we are going to see some high winds over the course of the next 2 days. We will be in a red flag warning tomorrow until 9 p.m. Taking a look at some gusty winds across the state, we are going to see gusts anywhere from 20 to 40 miles per hour for the most part. So just be careful. Try not to create any sparks. Now, hot temperatures today, we are making a run for some record-breaking highs. Billings and Miles City just a few degrees shy. Livingston did tie, and Sheridan and Cody broke their previous records already. We'll have the full forecast details for you in just a little bit.
Difficult yet important data from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services today. The COVID report shows that unvaccinated Montanans are 5 times more likely to be hospitalized and 3 times more likely to die from the virus. The state report reviewed data from February 2021 to September and found 89.5% of the cases and 88.6% of the hospitalizations were among people who were not fully vaccinated. Now, in a recent 8-week period, the median age for hospitalizations was 60 years old amongst those not fully vaccinated, compared to 75 years old for those who are. Now, the report also states from July to September of this year, Montanans who were not fully vaccinated contracted COVID-19 at a rate 4.4 times greater. Currently, 53% of eligible Montana residents are vaccinated. That number is slightly lower here in Yellowstone County. And those numbers are not slowing down. The state saw 28 new deaths over the weekend, and Montana has now surpassed 11,000 active cases. 3 of the deaths are from here in Yellowstone County, bringing the total to 329 since the pandemic began. Now, the county reports 126 new cases as the active number reaches more than 2,500. That's 1,000 more cases than any other county.
Yeah, so far so good.
Since late August, Montana has been welcoming Afghan national refugees. On Saturday, the first of the widely known 75 expected Afghans arrived. These refugees have been coming through as special immigrant visas and now as humanitarian parolees through the Afghan Placement and Assistance Program. At-risk Afghan nationals are granted this humanitarian parolee status because of the fear for their lives as the Taliban take over Afghanistan. The APA program is designed to provide refugees with resettlement services for 30 to 90 days after they arrive in the United States. Through the IRC in Missoula, refugees will be helped with housing, job search, and other needs to restart their lives.
We're largely modeling what we do with those who come over under the APA with what we do for refugee and SIV clients.
IRC in Missoula has welcomed 7 single refugees and 1 refugee family from U.S. military bases in Texas and New Mexico. When the next Afghan refugee will land in Montana is still unknown. Fahey predicts October will be a busy month, welcoming these humanitarian refugees.
They may spend a month or more, during which time they're going through, again, security vetting, interviews, health screenings.
The IRC is one of 9 resettlement agencies a part of the APA program. In Missoula, Hannah Hislop, MTN News.
This is the sweet-faced single mom Brittany Curl lives for. Her son Khalil is 4 years old, turning 5 in October. It was just last year she was faced with the terrifying thought he might have to live his life without her.
What about my kid? You know, what's going to happen to him?
Those were her first thoughts when she was diagnosed with brain cancer in February of 2020. In the months before that, the suspicion began to rise when unexplainable things started happening, like her face going numb. Only 2 of her family members were ever diagnosed with brain cancer.
So it was always in the back of my mind, but of course I was 25 and a college athlete, and so I thought maybe it was just stress-induced or something. So yeah, it was a major shock.
Now cancer-free, she knew there had to be something more to her diagnosis.
Throughout cancer, I just kept saying there's got to be a purpose behind this. There needs to be a purpose. I said, it can't be just because I have cancer.
And just 4 months after she received the news, the idea of nonprofit Mommy's Dream was born.
Obviously, if you're a single mom, it's really hard to, number one, find childcare, go to treatments, work, all these things that are necessary for life. So I thought that I would start a nonprofit that helps basically target single moms, but also helps all moms.
Assistance from Mommy's Dream will include things like meal plans, Airbnb for treatment travel, occupational and physical therapy support, and more.
After I had surgery, I wouldn't go through the drive-through because I couldn't move the left side of my body. Just getting acclimated back in the community once you have cancer is hard for a lot of single moms.
Her support stretching beyond that financial and physical assistance.
Trust the plan. Everything has a purpose, so stay strong.
Strong words from a strong woman, and she wants the same for other moms battling cancer so they can continue loving on their children.
Tell me, how much do you love your mommy?
A lot.
In Billings, Victoria Hill, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 530 News on Q2, retirees could soon be getting a big raise in their Social Security checks, and it all has to do with inflation.